So I thought what we would do is, you know, we're not expert rock hounders, right? Usually I look at you and I say, do you think this is agate or not? And most of the time it's not, right?
That's true.
And we also, if you watch somebody like, is it Katie Did Rocks or Theo Kellison, those guys that are up on the Yellowstone, they like look at a rock from 7 miles away and they're like, yeah, look at that. And I don't have that ability. So let's say if we were to take it like right here, I'm guessing there are at least 15 rocks here that might be agate. So
I'd say.
Let's just take a look and see what we find. So there's the big obvious one in the middle, right?
Oh. That's an agate for sure.
But let's start like right here, just working towards that. And that looks a lot like an agate. So if we spray that off, it's got a very smooth nature to it. There's a little bit of moss on that left side. If you hold it up to the sun, I'm moving too fast, you can see all the way through that.
Oh,
I think that's a pretty little agate, right? So there's one. Let's see, if we go just a little bit further here, I think that has a little bit of a shine, but then when I pop it out, it's just a good looking rock.
Right.
So we're still at one. This one is a little interesting right there.
Oh, yeah.
So is that an agate? And you just saw only the tip of that.
I say yes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Ooh, nice.
So this one...
Oh, does it have like a crust on the side of jasper?
It does. It seems like a lot of times there's those crust on those, but you can see there are kind of two different colors of agate. There's kind of a browner one to the right and a whiter one with some dark parts in it.
I like that piece.
And then sometimes you start to pick up your hammer and you see something else that might be another piece, and I think that one probably is. So if we spray it off.
That looks good.
And if we hold it up to the sun.
Isn't it interesting how they start out looking really blue, and then it kind of has a rosy warm color when you look through the light?
So that's 3. Should we go look at this big one right
here?
here?
I got to see that huge one over there.
All right, so there's some parts of this that make me think it's not. There's a lot of shine on that reminds me of what quartzite does.
Oh, yeah.
But also, one of the things I think I've noticed here, if you're rock hounding, I think on the Yellowstone, those agates get a lot more of the edges knocked off. You can still see some of the pock marks, and if I understand the formation of agate, what will happen is hot gases coming up in volcanic activity areas will deposit that agate. We seem to have a lot of luck finding it around rhyolitic stones.
Right.
So you'll sometimes see some of that pock marking on the side.
Which looks like the white milky kind of look, maybe?
More just, I would say, the indentations, right? So
the chunks that are taken out. My
imagination is, and I don't know if this is right, that the gas, as the mineral is deposited on a rock surface, that rock surface later is less durable, wears away, but it still leaves a negative of the rock surface. So you see that in this kind of area. And then I assume if this is all agate, then the inside of that, this might be a cleavage plane maybe for the agate. So let me go ahead and spray this and let's see what we can see.
Let's take a look.
So that surface looks pretty good right there. I like the way that looks on the back in terms of how I think agates in this area look to us. All right, now let's take a look at it up in the light. So we can definitely see the edge of that is clearly translucent, right?
Very nice.
As you get in a little deeper, it's a little harder to see that. You can see it maybe a little better even down into there. I don't know that that would be called a water line necessarily, nor mossy, but you can see some coloration in there. So maybe.
I would say
I think it's probably
fairly sure on this one.
Now the other thing that it seems like, and I mentioned this before, is I don't see hairline fractures in this. I see one fracture here, maybe one here, but
where it broke off from the larger piece, right?
Potentially so, but I don't see a lot of fracturing within it. Maybe one line here.
Doesn't remind me of quartz.
No, it doesn't remind me of quartz. So let's
I like it.
Let's go a little bit further. We're at 4 now. I think we're looking for possible agate number 5, and we're just a little bit to the side of where we were a moment ago, and I'm in my sun, so that's always bad. But there are a couple of pieces here that have my interest. The first isn't the obvious one right there, which some of you may have seen.
I do love the red jasper.
it may be this little thing right here.
Oh.
So there's really an unusual texture to the top of that. Sometimes when I see that square shape, I wonder, okay, is that like the lines, the rings, the age rings in a tree or something? But I don't think so. I think that's would be too small, hard for me to know. But it feels like it's a slightly agatized, maybe, piece of petrified wood. Hard to know on that one, though. All right, so there's also a piece back in here.
Oh, that
that's
looks
black.
Cool.
Now now that I've popped it out, I don't like it because it doesn't have, the back side doesn't look right.
Right.
It doesn't let light through really, so we're
probably
still on
not.
Probably not. And then there's this piece of agate, I think or jasper you were looking at.
Yeah,
and
it's
the question
pretty.
is, how much agatization does it have? Oh, and I just tipped my water bottle over to that spot right there. We'll go there next. So this is, I think, the challenge that we're having is that's a very pretty jasper.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
really beautiful golden bands through here with a dark red around it.
I like that.
Maybe there's some agate through here, but it doesn't really feel like it to the touch. Quartz on the back side, a lot of, you know, whatever rock this is accreted to. So definitely not an agate, but worth looking at because a lot of those jaspers have it. And then I think...
Sorry, I just had to pick this
one is an agate, so...
Oh, let's see.
We're back on a winning streak, I think. Oh, this might be pretty.
Ooh, I like those colors.
So the back looks a lot more like just a jasper with kind of an orange color to it. But the front seems a little more translucent. And so if we hold it up,
ooh, neat.
You start to see some of the sunlight coming through there. And then I think this material is more like a shell. So I think that the agate probably doesn't just run in that little circle there, but it runs through, and you can see it more through there maybe as we get more in the sun.
I really like that.
There's a little
piece,
more
actually.
translucence, yep.
Very nice.
So we'll call that one agate, even though it might be jasp agate. What are we at now, 5?
I think so.
All right, you had a piece you popped up right there. We decided that probably wasn't. It looked like it underground a little bit. That one, obviously, is one we want to look at. And while I don't forget, and because it's a little bit hidden, there's one right there that had some coloration, but it is clearly not as well. So let's take a spray at this one.
All right.
All right, so this one doesn't feel as much like agate to me. It feels a little rougher. Not getting a lot of light through that one. Let me hold that up in a... If I can't find it and I'm still looking for the sun, that probably means it's not
mostly
an agate.
jasper, it looks like.
Yeah, jasper or quartzite maybe.
Right.
It's got a
Both,
nice red color to it. Both. There's a little bit of translucence right there.
Yeah.
But not the stuff we're looking for at this point, because I think we're looking...
Yeah,
you
see,
can
there's
kind of
some.
see there's some there maybe, but there's a lot of opacity here where I can't see through. And to me that looks like, I've called it fracturing, and it seems like maybe there's fracturing through that area, so that might be quartz.
Right. Good
Probably
point.
not one I'm going to keep.
Okay.
So still at 5. And let's see what's right behind you here. There's a big rock pile here. First thing that caught my attention was this right here. And the reason why is because it's flat.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of drawn to those petrified wood pieces. But there's a lot of quartzite here that has broken off and has flat surfaces. You can see what I think are the quartzite kind of crystalline look. It's not a smooth surface.
The planes of it, right?
Yeah. So that one is a no-go. That one near it, though, looks kind of pretty. We'll see what that shines up and looks like. Oh yeah, look at that.
I like that. Jasp
So,
agate, right?
might be all agate if we get it in the sun. So let's flip around and look in the sun. And that one's a lot more translucent than it
Very
seemed
pretty.
initially.
It is.
Not fracturing in it. We've got a beautiful band of orange that runs through the middle, and that looks purplish to bluish to blackish on the edges to me.
I like that a lot.
So that could be something, and again, we haven't had experience using cabbing. I think some of that, what looks like maybe mossy stuff on the back would disappear in a cab, but I think you'd still have all that, those deep colored bands.
Right.
So we're at 6 now?
I think so.
And let's see. If we just take a little closer look here, that catches my eye, but I think that's a quartzite. Yep. And let's see, what else have we got here? Now that one's kind of interesting. Can you see the light shining on that in the camera?
Mm-hmm.
So that...
It's pretty green.
I don't think is petrified wood at all. Sorry, I don't think it's agate. And it has a lot of fracturing in it to me. It's a little smooth over here. So maybe there's little bits of agate in it. But
it's an interesting piece.
Pretty piece. I think it's just quartzite.
Now I want to show this one right here. I want you to get that one out with your pick.
That one's gorgeous.
That looks like a good
And I'm going to pop
possibly.
this one out too.
All
so
right.
I'm going to pop that one out and just move it over to the side.
Okay.
And I'm going to grab this one out, and I think that is just a pretty piece.
Probably not a very big piece, but looks good.
Oh, that's a pretty piece.
Nice. See that washed
So
up.
let's take a look at that.
Does it have some mossiness in the center?
Yeah, it does. So that's got some sort of inclusion in it. Let's go ahead and take a look in the center.
All right.
So it's kind of a milky agate. There's no fractures in it. You can see some mossiness over there on that edge, on the right hand edge as I turn it. And then that side you see some orange that goes into the agate. Kind of interesting little piece.
I like that a lot.
I think we're at 7. I think there was one right here we were looking at.
Let's see how that cleans up.
And I think this is these are one of the ones that get tougher for us, right?
Yeah.
We've been looking at them long enough that if we lift it up in the sun,
it's so fractured.
It's so fractured, I don't know how it cuts. It strikes me as quartz as well. Even like that stuff right there, definitely quartzite. Sorry, I should say quartzite. Some of this though through there looks a little bit
edges, yeah.
agate-ish to me, but I don't think that's a rock you can do a lot with. You even start looking at that through there maybe, and being able to do something. You've got a red band in the middle.
So maybe not a keeper, but interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure how you would cut it. Like I said, it seems like this area through here has a lot of fractures in it. Maybe less in there, but then again in here. So I think it'd be hard to use. Pretty rock.
I agree.
Let's see.
Think there's anything else in this pile?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's one right there.
Oh yeah.
And then we still have a couple spots over there I want to look at.
All right.
So I think
Small
this is
chunk.
a lot like the one you had before.
Right.
A little bit more orangish maybe than the last one. It's got a little bit of an jasperish inclusion up on the top corner. It's kind of a small piece.
Might be difficult to do much with, huh?
Yeah. It does have that outside edge that I think about when I think about the deposition onto the rock, right? So you can see that bubbly surface.
You like that?
I do kind of like that little piece, so I think I'll keep that. Might be able to do something with it. I think the next job we have is learn how to make cabs, right?
Definitely.
All right, let's see if we can find something more. I think that puts us at 8.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think about when I'm looking for petrified wood is sort of a square look, and sometimes the edge of a rock will look kind of square. That's obviously not petrified wood.
I'm interested in this piece over here with the orange on the edges and a little light in the middle. What's that?
I'm not sure. Looks more,
I like the colors.
Looks more quartzish maybe, because it's got sort of that rough surface that catches the...
Might be some agate in there.
Maybe. A little bit on the edge, but I think that's largely a quartz deposition.
Okay.
A quartzite. You can almost see the crystals in there, and I think about it as like a bilayer. One set of crystals growing that way and one growing down that way. That's probably just my imagination though. But it feels like there's a little line in the middle where the crystals meet.
Yeah. It was interesting color on the edges. That
Do you
kind
want
of
that?
caught my eye.
I like that a lot too.
We found all the agate in this area.
As soon as we stand up, we'll see one.
Probably.
I don't see much in this little part right here. Should we check right here?
All right.
See what we may have missed here. So this, I think, has the black look that some agate does. But again, that surface It's just too many fractures on it. Also, you can see the cleavage plane gives you that sparkle on there.
Right.
You don't see that as much. You just don't see that the same way with the agate.
Okay, right here. I think there's a small piece.
It's pretty. Look how purple
it is pretty.
that is.
Oh, it's a little bigger than I thought.
Bigger than you thought it was, yeah. I really like these colors that we're finding.
Ah, that's neat.
And I like those inclusions. That is clearly an agate. It's very translucent. And I do like the edges on this where there's just, and I don't know how that cleans up or how that changes, but I love the character that red brings to that piece.
Oh yeah, definitely a keeper. Okay.